Man, I wasted so much time. I mean, years. Just jumping from one stock tip to the next. Whatever sounded good on YouTube, whatever Reddit was excited about, whatever some random analyst with a nice microphone said sounded smart. And none of it, none of it was working. I couldn't figure out why. The tips sounded good, confident. The stocks were popular, but I wasn't making money. And it took me way too long to realize the problem wasn't the stock market. It was me. I was fishing in the wrong pond. This is the episode where all of that changed. So last episode, I talked about getting assigned 1,000 shares of SoFi and making what was probably the best stop loss decision in my investing life. The exit freed up capital, but more than that, it pointed me somewhere new. Quick disclaimer before we get into it. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. This is just my story. So here's something I had to learn the hard way. Free investing content, it's everywhere. Everywhere. YouTube, Reddit, StockTwits, newsletters, all of it free, all of it confident, almost none of it is actually useful. And look, I don't say that to be harsh. I say it because I wasted years on it, actual years. The problem with free content isn't that the people making it are bad people, right? It's that free content doesn't have skin in the game. If someone tells you to buy SoFi on YouTube and it tanks, what did it cost them? Nothing. They move on to the next video. But what did it cost you? Real money. Your money. So anyway, that's when I started asking myself a different question. Not where can I find more free ideas, but actually, who's actually accountable for their calls? That question led me to two places. And I tell you, they changed everything. The first was Seeking Alpha. I'd heard of it before. I figured it was just another financial news site. It's not. What got my attention, it was their quant system. It's a quantitative rating, no data, no human bias, no hype. And it scores stocks on a scale up to 5. And it doesn't care what's popular. It doesn't care what's trending on Reddit. It just looks at the fundamentals. I started running stocks through it, and what I found out immediately was that stocks that I'd been trading, Robinhood, Palantir, some of the more popular retail names, they weren't scoring well. Not bad stocks necessarily, just not what the data was pointing to as the best opportunities. And then I saw Micron Technology, quant score of 4.99 out of 5. Now, I didn't know much about Micron at the time, honestly, but I knew a 4.99 quant score, that meant something. That was the beginning of a whole new chapter. Around that same time, I also found Gary over at Daily Stock Pick. If you look through the cracks of all the free stuff, there's real signal there. And if you pay for his newsletter, that's where it actually gets really useful. Gary's newsletter is built around the same inner workings as Seeking Alpha's quant system. He's not just throwing stock names at you, he's publishing the stocks that he's been watching with the data to back it up. That's why it clicked for me. He also pointed me toward TrendSpider, specifically their Sidekick AI tool. He uses it himself. He posts his answers from Sidekick right in the newsletter that he publishes. That's actually how I got introduced to it. And it became part of how I built my exit strategies. So if you remember that Palantir trade I mentioned last episode, Sidekick helped me figure out how to stop the bleeding on that one. I started following Gary's work, not blindly. I was running everything through Seeking Alpha and my own process at this point. But Gary had a gift for surfacing names I wouldn't have been looking at otherwise. The free channel is worth a look, but the newsletter is worth paying for. So shout out to Gary. I'll put a link in the description. So something changed when I started paying for the right tools and following the right people. I stopped reacting. I started evaluating. Before Seeking Alpha, my process was basically hear about a stock, feel good about it, go buy it. That was it. That was the whole strategy, man. But with Seeking Alpha, it became find a stock, run it through the quant system, check the analyst ratings, look at the fundamentals, and then decide. That's not a small shift, right? That's the difference between guessing and actually having a process. It's also the difference between fishing in the wrong pond and finally finding where the fish actually are. Micron kept showing up. Every time I ran a screen, every time I checked the quant ratings, Micron was at 4.99 over and over. I was starting to pay attention, but a quant score alone wasn't enough for me to pull the trigger. Because I'd made trades based on the signal before, and I'd learned what happened when that signal was wrong. I got scammed early on, lost $100, and I still think about what that trade meant to me and what that $100 taught me. What I needed wasn't just a good stock. I needed a system, rules, gates I had to pass through before I entered anything. In the next episode, I'm going to walk through exactly what I built and how it keeps me from making emotional decisions, even when the market is doing everything it can to make me second guess myself. Plan Alpha, that's next. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you've ever felt like you were fishing in the wrong pond, hey, drop a comment. I spent years there. See you in episode 5.